Okay, we're going to dissect now the meaning of strategic cost management. Let's start with strategic. So, what is strategic, class? We know that when it is strategic, it is about long term, and when we say long term, that would be not 1 year, 2 years, but it should be five or more. Diba? This would be 5 years or more. And when you say strategic, incidental to your long-term goal, no, you are going to make an identification specifically on how to achieve this long-term goal. That's the focus of is strategic. And if this is our what, then and this is our when, okay, then how are we going to do this? Of course, you know already the why of strategic, right? Because it talks about the goal, no? The vision, the mission, and the goal, no? The the BMGO, okay? Your BMGO. That's your why. Um, well, you know the who already. It will be the management, no? The board of director, and so let's talk about how can you be able to do it strategically. You have to be perceptive. What else? What do you think needs to be your character? No, it has to be future oriented. Class, masasabi mo ba yan na long term kung hindi future oriented? And at the same time, since it's long term, you have to be open-minded of what are the trends, the changes, no, for you to have better opportunity. And of course, you have to be proactive. And incidental to your strategic, no, you are making strategies. And this strategy will lay out, no, will actually formalize what you have identified as your long-term goal, no? So ang strategy, siya yung pinaka-plan natin. Ano nyo na, class, i-lay out nyo na siya in the form of a plan, no? Now, how about cost? Okay, so that's the second one. When you say cost, common term to, di ba? Ano masasabi niyo sa cost? Dati ganit sa dahil accounting naman to. So let's start with the simplest description. Sabi natin kapag cost ay ano yung simplest natin description. Pwedeng expired, pwedeng unexpired. Na pag inirelate natin sa financial statement, ito yung dalawa, expense at saka loss, na nire-reflect sa income statement. At yung unexpired, ito yung asset, no? Na inire-relate saan? Sa balance sheet. We know that cost is always compared with benefit. And how can we now relate each of the expense, loss, and asset? Expense, you receive already the benefit. Loss, no benefit. And asset would be expecting benefit. Okay? So, if this is our definition of cost, expired and expired, as to the benefits to be received, from the layman's point of view, cost is normally viewed as what? Layman's point of view. How do you view cost? Pag tinanong mo lang dyan sa mga kasama nyo dyan, most often, they relate it to expenditure, gastos. Pag sinabing expenditure, this now entails cash. Unlike cost, this would be on accrual basis. With or without cash, there will be a cost involved. Okay? So, kung ganun pala ang kwento ng buhay natin, ang focus natin would be the strategic cost management will not only look into the expenditure, but will also look at what are you have expended, what you have incurred, no, for you to be able to achieve the goals set by the organization. Now, so that's your cost. Now, how about management, no? Kasi yung cost ba, can before we go to management, can it be construed as resources, yung cost ninyo? In a way, if you are looking at making a product, diba? So this is what we need to incur in order for us to produce a product or to offer the services, the goods and services. And besides, do you remember? Ito ayan part ng cost ay asset. And we know that we define cost as, or rather we define asset as a resource. No? Yan. Then we can now go to management. Okay? And when we say management, ano nga bang management? O bagong salita ba sa inyo yung management? Hindi naman. Pero alam nyo, ang kainaman sa management, you can think of it as an art. Talaga ba, ma'am? Why? Kasi management will look into how you do things. How you get things done. No? So, how you do things. Kasi in management, the heart would be people. Ay, gano'n po ba, ma'am? Di pag pinag-combine ko yung strategic cost management, kadami ko naman palang i-consider. Precisely. Diba? So, kung gano'n pala na ang management is an art, ma'am, paano yun? Kung art siya. Aba, you have to look at first the hierarchy of management. And we have 3 hierarchy. The operational, the tactical, and the strategic level. Right? And you notice, triangle ang ginagamit nila. Hindi ba kayo nagtataka kung bakit triangle? Pwede naman gamitin dyan yung circle, yung square, or any symbol. Kasi tingnan nyo, letter B. Para kung nandito yung mata nyo, you'll have a vision. Kasi daw dapat, if you're at the top, may vision ka dapat. No? And the one that will hold the organization together is the base. Diba? This is your base. The triangle, it has to be strong. And definitely, the operational level has to be strong. Okay? So, in our subject matter, we will tackle its level. The operational, the tactical, and the strategic. No? Kaya yung discussion natin ng term 1, no? Ito sa term 1, ito term 1 din, term 2. Okay? And then ito, term 3. Using input, process, output. Using your act. Because think is the input, count is the process, and act is your output. Kasi nga, sabi natin, we have to start with an end in mind. So you see, action is the output. No? So, with management, dahil sinabi natin siyang art, you have to focus now with what? The functions. Kasi if you don't look at the functions, then you cannot get things done, no, with people. Kasi management is a process, diba? It's a process. For you to be able to coordinate with people, for your resources to be managed well, and for you to be able to achieve the goal. So, with that in mind, that's the focus of management. Then, what are the functions that we need to look into? If management is a process, then that's where you're going to look at the functions. O ano-ano yung mga functions? The first function would be you're looking at planning. O ito, i-discuss natin yan. Another would be looking at decision making. And when you say decision making, i-discuss din natin yan. No? Partly, we're going to have organizing, no? But it is incidental to discussing planning and decision making. Then the other one that would be more important to us would be controlling. Other functions of management aside from organizing would be leading, no, motivating, but there are three functions that we will focus on: planning, controlling, and decision making. Okay, so if this is the dissect version of strategic cost management, then if we combine them together, what is now strategic cost management? Okay? Kasi yung cost, alam natin, ito yung controllable as a business. 'Di ba? Ikaw bilang decision maker, ito yung controllable sa'yo. Kung controllable sa ito yung dapat mong minamanage at minimeasure. At sa accounting, minimeasure natin siya. At kaya kayo maraming management subject kasi kailangan mo daw na you need to be able to plan, control, and make appropriate decision, no? When it comes to cost. And incidental to measuring and managing the cost, we need to align it with our business strategy. And we know all about what business strategy is. So, that's the reason why you're taking up strategic cost management. For you to be able to align what you have measured and what you have managed, no, with your cost, the cost that you're going to incur or the cost that you have incurred, no, for us to be able to have, no, the achievement of the plans, no, the strategic plan that the organization have actually formulated. This would help manager understand and implement the strategy by diagnosing the performance that influence the behavior of the personnel. Okay? Kasi, no, ito yung sa manage. Dito ko lang naitapat sa no? So, we have to apply, no, lastly, the system concept. Kasi nga, i-dissect natin, di ba? Sabi pag sa system, it's a whole, but it can be divided into different parts. So, dissect na natin yung strategic, yung cost, at saka yung, ano pa? Management. Okay? Kung ganun pala, if this is a systems framework, do you remember? Sabi ko, there are 7 characteristics of a system. Okay? You should not forget the 7 characteristics of a system. And what are those? First would be the objective. Diba? Second would be the input, process, output, and the tools. Third would be, control. Fourth would be the boundary. Fifth would be, can you remember? Interrelatedness. Okay? This is the best penmanship that I can give you. 6 would be interdependency. And the 7th one would be decomposition. Discuss natin isa-isa. Alam nyo ba kung ano yung objective? Sabi natin is SMART. Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bounded. Okay? And this is directly related to the S word, the strategy, no, that the organization would actually be formulating. And TIPO would be incidental to any business unit or any activity that you're going to involve yourself with. Dapat alam mo kung ano yung gagamitin mo to make things easier. That will be the tools. And dito, syempre, dahil cost management yan, we're talking about data and the information. Diba? Cost data, cost information with input, process, output. Then the tools, yun yung pag-uusapan natin. Kaya meron kayong yung linear programming, no? Tool yon. Ay, kailangan nyo yung kaya sa cost estimation. Control, don't forget, pag sinabing control, apat yan. Preventive, detective, corrective, and the feedback element. And when you talk of processes, hindi pwedeng wala yan. Kasi para ma-maximize yung output, dapat may control mechanism. And boundary would be looking at relevance. Looking at kailan ka dapat mag-umpisa at matapos. No? You have to know the beginning and the end. Because this would look at the appropriateness of your action. Dapat alam mo lang yung sakop mo. Kasi we're talking about, planning, controlling, and decision making. So, the appropriateness of your action will depend upon what would be the scope of your task. Okay? So, yung boundary would look at the scope. Kaya kita nyo, yung sa atin, meron tayong term 1, term 2, term 3. So, we have foundation, and then we have, after the foundation, ano yung i-discuss natin pagkatapos ng foundation. We'll look into the different details on the processes of your foundation. Kasi without that, it would be difficult for you to be able to understand yung sa strategic level. Kailangan talaga ma-take up nyo yung foundation. Yun. Ma'am, ano yung foundation? Yun yung, you have to know what are the types of costs. You have to, yun. Okay? So, kung importante pala yung details na to, paano ma'am yung mga interrelatedness, interdependency? Kasi diba, tingnan nyo ha, ang titake up natin sa term 1 yung foundation, na ang kasama sa foundation, kailangan alam nyo yung lahat ng cost. Actually, magiging assignment nyo to yung write all the costs that you can think of, no? Alam nyo ba na kayang hanggang 100, more than 100 yung cost terms? Okay? Yun, I will itong assignment na to, I will require you to write, not copy paste. Kasi kailangan tamang copy paste, cut and paste. It has an action. It will make our brain also have an impact. Pero iba yung sinusulat nyo talaga, no? Or maybe I'm too traditional when it comes to this, but habang nagsusulat ka, kasi habang binabasa mo, mas may depth yung gagawin mo pag you look about the different cost terms. And once you are familiarized with the different cost terms, titingnan na natin, analyze na natin siya, no? And then we look into the behavior. And after the behavior, we look into its application. And so by knowing what are the tools used in the application, and that would be your cost estimation techniques. Diba? O pag natapos na yan, yun na yung term 1 natin. Okay? So, paano yung term 2? Naku, yung term 2 nyo, yung details na yan. Kasi, alam nyo na yung klase ng cost. O i-relate na natin yan sa product. Ang product natin, goods at saka services. Pag natutunan na natin yung costing system and the cost accumulation technique, no? Then we're going to be better off in applying sa term 3 yung mga the cost planning for product cycle, the balance scorecard, lean management system, the quality cost management, no, value chain. So those are the topics that we have to discuss in 3. The good thing with term 1 and term 2, I know these are merely a review at your end because you already tackled it up with your previous cost accounting subject. Okay? So, I hope you appreciate what strategic is, what cost is, and management is. No? Now, as part of our experience point, what is the term that somehow you appreciate the most, no? And why? Okay, so again, message in your personal messenger. This would be the second or the first question in this rather the first question that we have in the material in your introduction to cost management. Always keep safe, people. Good day. Don't hesitate to ask if you have question. God bless.